Daf Yomi, Tractate Chullin, page 30. Top of the page with the word stima ta'a. Stima ta'a, aval chachamim oimrim, shnayim shochetim zever echad, which is cited unattributed, meaning it is one of his many opinions that are cited in the Mishnah and Braitot without attribution. But the rabbis say two people may slaughter one offering. According to the rabbis, Rava's difficulty remains. Let the Mishnah teach a case where they slaughtered it with two men, as the heifer does not render the first man who slaughters impure, as the slaughter did not yet begin, and the heifer renders the latter man impure. ולרבי אלעזר ברבי שמעון נמי לפלוג כגון דשחר חד גברא בשני סודרים דסודר כמה לא מטמא וסודר בעשרה מטמא לבסולות דבר כמה ירא בהכשרה לא כמה ירא. And according to the opinion of Rabbi Elazar, the son of Rabbi Shimon, who holds that two people may not slaughter one offering, let the Tana of the Mishnah also distinguish and teach a case where one man slaughtered with two cloths on his head, starting the slaughter with one and replacing with the other midway through the slaughter. As in that case, since halachic slaughter is accomplished only at its conclusion, the first cloth is not rendered impure, but the latter cloth is rendered impure. Rather, one must say that the Tana is speaking only in reference to cases involving the disqualification of the red heifer itself, but he is not speaking in reference to cases involving a fit red heifer, and no proof may be cited from here. Meisiv Rabbi bar Ovin uvemoed lishmoi patur shelo lishmoi chayov. Rabbi bar Ovin raises an objection from a Mishnah Psachim 63a. To the opinion that halachic slaughter is accomplished only at its conclusion. If one slaughters an animal for the sake of the Paschal offering on the 14th of Nisan afternoon, while he has leaven in his possession, he is flogged for violating the prohibition of, "You shall not slaughter the blood of my sacrifice with leavened bread." That's the verse in you shall not slaughter. You shall not. I might have quoted a different verse. I might have quoted Deuteronomy, but the meaning, the words are the same. You shall not slaughter the blood of my sacrifice with leavened bread. Exodus 23:18. If he slaughtered the animal for the sake of the Paschal offering, he is exempt from receiving lashes. And if he slaughtered the animal during the festival of Passover for the sake of the Paschal offering with leaven in his possession, he is exempt because it is a disqualified Paschal offering, as it was slaughtered beyond its appointed time. But if he slaughtered the animal during the festival, not for the sake of the Paschal offering, but rather as a peace offering, he is liable for slaughtering the animal with leaven in his possession. And we discussed this matter. The reason he is liable is due to the fact that his intent was to slaughter it not for the sake of the Paschal offering, but had he slaughtered it with unspecified intent, he would be exempt because the offering would be disqualified. Unless he specifically intends otherwise, the animal retains its status as a Paschal offering and is disqualified when sacrificed beyond its appointed time. Pesach b'shar Yemois Hashanah shlomim hu, shma mino Pesach b'shar Yemois Hashanah boi akiro. Gemara asks, And why is he exempt? Doesn't a paschal offering sacrificed during the rest of the days of the year assume the status of a peace offering? And doesn't one who slaughters a peace offering during the time when it is prohibited to possess leaven in his possession also violate the prohibition? Conclude from it that a paschal offering sacrificed during the rest of the days of the year requires explicit revocation of its status. Otherwise, it does not assume the status of a peace offering, and it remains a disqualified paschal offering. V'yomar Rechia bar Gamda. Reminds me of Gamadim. Gamda. V'yomar Rechia bar Gamda. Nizregami picha v'ocha v'yamru. Hachu ma'eskin g'goy shoye bayim. T'mei meisim. Nidinochen besach sheni. Distam lishmai koi v'hai kom. Hu bi boy mekiro, acheloi boy mekiro. And Rabbi Chia bar Gamda said a response emerged from the group of scholars that discussed this matter, and they said, "What are we dealing with here? It is with a case where the owners of the paschal offering were ritually impure on the 14th of Nisan with impurity imparted by a corpse. In that case, the Torah commands in Numbers chapter 9, verses 10 and 11, that since they were unable to sacrifice the paschal offering at the appointed time, the 14th of Nisan, they were deferred to the second Pesach, the 14th of Iyar. Since presumably the owner plans to use his paschal offering on the second Pesach, its unspecified slaughter in the interim stands to be offered for the sake of the paschal offering. And it is that paschal offering that requires revocation of its status, but other situations of a paschal offering that is slaughtered beyond its designated time do not require revocation of the animal's status, and it assumes the status of a peace offering. Yamid b'shlam yesh l'shchita mitchila v'atzoiv. Yipsalei mitchila shchito. Ela amret in l'shchita l'b'soiv. Kivan nishochat bei purtan idichilei mi pesach. Idach koshachit shlomim koshachit. Returning to the matter at hand of a paschal offering that is designated for use on the second Pesach, is slaughtered on Passover while one has leaven in his possession. He is exempt from receiving lashes because it is a disqualified paschal offering granted. If you say that halachic slaughter is accomplished from the beginning to the end of the act, the offering is disqualified from the beginning of the slaughter as a paschal offering slaughtered beyond its appointed time. Therefore, one is exempt from receiving lashes. But if you can say that halachic slaughter is accomplished only at its conclusion, why is one exempt if he slaughtered the animal with leaven in his possession? Once he began and cut a bit of the siman, it is rejected from its status as a paschal offering and can no longer be offered on the second Pesach. Therefore, when he slaughters the other remaining portion of the simanim without specification, it is a peace offering that he is slaughtering. Abaye said to Rav Idi bar Ovin, even if you say that a loving slaughter is accomplished only at its conclusion, although it was rejected from the possibility of being sacrificed on the second Pesach, was it rejected from the possibility of being redeemed and from the possibility of the monetary value of a paschal offering being used to purchase an animal to be sacrificed in the second Pesach? As long as the slaughter is not yet complete, redemption of the animal remains possible. Therefore, unspecified slaughter at that time is for the sake of a paschal offering, and one should be exempt from receiving lashes. V'chitim bayam levaroche v'tznan shochet bo shnayim v'rov shnayim v'dayin hima v'parkeses hari hi gechai lechol divreo. And if you would say that in order to redeem a consecrated item, one requires that the animal be placed standing before the priest and requires valuation, see Leviticus 27:11-12. And once it is slaughtered, it is unable to stand, but didn't we learn in the Braita? If one slaughtered, meaning cut 2 simanim in the animal, or a majority of 2 simanim, and the animal is still convulsing until its status is like a living animal in every respect, and it may be redeemed until the convulsing ceases. Yehuda said that Rav said, one who cuts a simon in 2 or 3 places on the neck, and together he cuts the cuts constitute the requisite measure of slaughter. His slaughter is valid. Yehuda adds, when I say this, Allah before Shmuel, he said to me, we require a clear and obvious slaughter, and in the case of cuts in 2 or 3 places, there is no obvious slaughter. Shachut lishonam mirma diber. And Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish also holds that we require a clear and obvious slaughter, as Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish says. From where is it derived that slaughter must be clear and obvious? As it is stated, their tongue is a sharpened arrow. It speaks deceit. One who speaks peaceably to his neighbor with his mouth, but in his heart he lays wait for him. Jeremiah 9:7. Just as an arrow clearly enters one part of the body, so too the slaughter must be clear and obvious. Meisir Rabbi Elazar, Shnayim Oixim Besakim, Shoichetin Afilu Echel Milmala Vechel Milmatom. Shitas Hegeshera Amai Valegashrit Mfoiras. Rabbi Elazar raises an objection from a Mishnah in 30b. If 2 people are grasping a knife and slaughtered one animal, even if each is holding a knife and slaughtering one above and one below, with each one slaughtering at a different point in the neck, their slaughter is valid. But why is the slaughter valid? According to the opinions of Shmuel and Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, there is no clear and obvious slaughter, as each is cutting a different part of the neck. Rabbi Yirmiyah said to Rabbi Elazar, the Mishnah is referring to a case with one knife and 2 people, each holding one end of the knife, resulting in a single diagonal incision from above to below. Rabbi Abba said to Rabbi Yirmiyah, if so, is this what is taught in that regard in a Braita? Commenting on that Mishnah, one need not be concerned that perhaps each will render the animal a treifa due to the other. Granted, if you say that the Mishnah is referring to a case of 2 knives and 2 people, it works out well. Lest you say, lest us be concerned that perhaps each will rely on the other and that he will perform the slaughter properly, and neither will this one come to execute the cut on the majority of the simanim, nor will that one come to execute the cut on the majority of the simanim. Therefore, the Tana teaches us that one need not be concerned. Elo yamad b'sakin achas u'shnei b'nei adam ha'en choishishin shema yitchu ze al ze shema yidrasu ze al ze mi bayadeh. But if you say that the Mishnah is referring to a case of one knife and two people, that statement in the Braita should have said, one need not be concerned that perhaps each will render the animal a treifa due to the other. It should have said, one need not be concerned that because one is pulling in one direction and one is pulling in the other, perhaps each will cause the other to press the knife and thereby invalidate the slaughter. Amar le Rabbi Avin tni ein choishishin. Rabbi Avin said to him, teach, one need not be concerned. Now we're turning to 30b because it's the middle idea. Amar le Rabbi Avin tni ein choishishin. 30b. Shema yidrasu ze al ze. Perhaps each will cause the other to press on the knife. Okay. We're stopping on top of 30b and continuing in the next Amud with Mesiv Rabbi Avin.